Hello and welcome to See the Bells Live. Today it's all about the care sector and how we can help the care sector. It's all about making the awareness. We've had some really interesting shows with Janet and I would love to welcome you back.
Thank you.
So tell me a little bit, before we go in and dig a little bit deeper, what does Shreeve Care Services sort of help and support?
It helps and supports so many different aspects of the care sector. When I set it up a year ago, just over a year, which I should point out I did at the age of nearly 66. So it doesn't look it.
Well, that's very kind of you. I can't believe that it's only a year ago since we first saw this met. It's just gone like that.
I know. And because, maybe it's because I'm getting towards that sector, I don't know. It's just that I feel that we really need to look at so many different aspects of care that aren't necessarily obvious to people. So when I set it up, it was, well, okay, where do I go from here? Which sector do I focus on? Because obviously I've worked so much in living. And I have got some really good living clients and living companies that I'm working with. But in the end, I knew what I really, really wanted to do was to make people aware of the different sides of care. And when I very first started, my very first client was Vosa Care, who I worked with on the supported living side. And I remember going and doing an assessment with the manager. And I was just, I just wanted to take this, he was about 25, really, really good looking young man, but obviously lots of mental health issues, lots of drug problems and whatever, living in this really, really awful room. And I just wanted to pick him up, take him home, put him in the bath, cut his hair, get some decent clothes and give him a decent meal, but of course you can't do that.
No.
But that's what I really wanted to do. And working in that sector has been a real eye-opener, and seeing the number of people that have so many problems I haven't even become remotely aware of. So that sort of started that bit, and then, right, okay, how can I work to develop their business? How can I help that sector to develop a bit more? Which I think I said in a previous program that I did, and I worked with them to get into different areas. And then I went back and did some work with a living care company to promote what they do. I work with a couple of living care companies who do both introductory and managed care services. Managed care service being CQC registered, introductory being what it says, so they introduce a carer, which again is a different type of service. But I work with a company called Christie's as well, which I'm actually going to visit them next week, so I'm looking forward to that.
It's all about the collaboration.
It is.
And the more awareness we can make around the care sector and where you come into your own is that fact that you can point people and make it bespoke.
Yeah.
And you can, because your passion is really kind of matchmaking.
It is, but then you know that yourself with what you do.
Yeah.
You're the world's greatest introducer.
But it
is, isn't it?
And it's actually, supported living is very close to my heart, because a family member in my family had gone through that for a long time, not getting the right help and care. And it took years to get that sorted. And it's, I mean, in that time, they probably lost a lot of the, living fun that they could have had, traveling or just being able to go to the shop and, wherever the problems are, mental issues and things like that. If you don't get the right supported living care, your life is just in a box, in a room where you just wanted to take this person at home and kind of care for them.
Yeah,
but you can't do that.
And it is all about that. It's giving people the right care, looking at what they need, and actually doing it quite quickly. Because one of the biggest challenges I always feel is that it takes so long. I mean, my colleague always says to me, the trouble with you is you want everybody to respond really quickly. Well, yes, I do, because to me, I want it done, and I want that person sorted, and I want them to be where they should be. And I then want the family to be able to sleep at night because they know that their person is being looked after in the right way. So yeah, I'm quite impatient.
So let's see if we can do some, because we've done a few shows and you can help with a whole overall experience of how it can work. What would your sort of top tips? And if we do, first of all, for families that may be looking to find care for, it could be supported living, it could be for mental health, it could be drug, or it could be elderly.
Yeah.
What should they look for first of all?
First of all, it doesn't really matter what area you live in. Do your research. I mean, we can help with that. And if they were to ring and say, look, I live, like I said, in Birmingham, can you help me go through one or two providers that I should look at? Can you help me sort of sort out what I'm looking for? We would do the research behind that. So that's part of the service. But anybody can also sort of try and look at some of the more local. I mean, obviously, age concern is good if you're elderly. And there are obviously various other organisations for different disabilities or different needs or whatever. But the trouble is, like everything, it's time. It's getting people to do things quickly. And one of my goals has always been, let's try and get it sorted as quickly as possible, because as I said, I'm not the most patient person. So if I wanted something done, I'd want it to be done as quickly as possible. So from my perspective, and looking at how we can help the care sector, let's try and move things a little bit quicker. Let's see if we can maybe get a few more people who will understand that we do need to move this quickly. There are other organisations that I work with who are very good, and I would go to as well if they need support quickly, and are quite happy to help me along the way, particularly if it's an area I'm not particularly familiar with. But I really feel that if we can get the clients to come and acknowledge that there is a me, if you like, a Shreeve Care out there who can possibly give some advice. Maybe it won't suit everybody, but we would do our utmost. And if I can't help and support, I would do my best to find somebody else that could. And that, I think, is probably what I would aim for.
And that's that support network, isn't it? Because I don't think I realised that you existed until we've started chatting. You think it's just for one sector, the elderly sector. I didn't realise that all the other things that you do. And that's, I think, sometimes the problem. We don't know what we don't know.
Well, we don't. And also, I think the other thing is, I hopefully will have someone else helping me very soon who's really keen to get into this sort of side of things. But there is only one of you. In the same way, there's only one of you as well, and there's only so many hours in the day, and you can do your best. And I think one of the things that I have learned as well is, however much it goes, because I suppose for years, you were saying, I don't really want to sort of make a big show about this. But you have got to get yourself out there, and you have got to talk about it, because if we don't talk about it, how does anybody know what's out there and what their choices are, what they need to do, and where they can find help and support?
Absolutely. So if you're a carer looking and watching this, what would you sort of say to them? What would your sort of top tips around making more awareness? How can we support them?
I would, if I was a carer, and if a carer came to me, I would actually say to them, are you happy? Are you enjoying what you're doing? Because you've got to, if you don't enjoy care, it's not going to work. You've got to enjoy it. And if it's not somewhere that you're enjoying working, what are your options? What would you like to do? There are a lot of choices out there. There are lots of other companies out there. I mean, I'm really lucky. I've met some really interesting and people I didn't actually know about as well, who run really, really ethical care companies that, probably if I was 20 years younger, I'd have been quite happy to go and work for. And I'm more than happy to say, if they're working with a care company that they're not very happy with, then, please, again, get in touch. But what's really interesting is when you do get a really good care company, and again, I know this from at least 4 other companies I work with, their staff stay.
Yeah, they do. They get looked after. And this is the whole point of why we do what we do, right? If people get well looked after, they will stay.
Absolutely. And why wouldn't they? Because they then become valued. And I think it's making sure that they get that feeling that they are valued. And I've always felt that, and this probably comes from my days of being a teacher, you've got to praise people.
Yeah.
You've got to say you've done really, really well. We're very good at criticising, but not so good at praising.
And there is some support network. There are organisations that give
yes, a lot of carer support, but they don't always know about them. Certainly over the years I've got to know a few, and I'm more than happy if they came to me to recommend, one or two that they could look at. But I think it's having that time and having the confidence sometimes, because a lot of carers don't have an awful lot of confidence, and we don't always realise that either. And you sort of feel maybe, I shouldn't really ask for help, or I should be able to cope.
You feel like you're letting yourself down by asking for help, isn't it? Because it's a sector where we should be strong and we should be able to cope with it all. But we all break at some point, so we need a support network.
Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt.
I think that's a great note to finish off on, because support network, collaborations, all of that is part of what we do as Senior Bounds. It's part of what you do, and part of what really all our members do. It's all about kind of getting the awareness out there, because working together. Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining me again.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it.
Really good show. So if you have any questions, all the details will be in the chat. And you are very welcome to come forward and ask anything. I know that Janet will be more than happy to speak to you, or to speak to myself as well. So on that note, we're going to say goodbye and have a lovely evening.
Thank you very much. Goodbye. Bye-bye.